Welcome, Studs and Scrubs, to another episode of the Studs and Scrubs podcast, brought to you as always by the Scrubs. Nick, how you doing today?
Good. How's it going, man?
Oh, pretty good here. We're doing a couple things around the house, painting my baby girl's
Oh,
room.
all
First
right.
time ever, first child, as you know, obviously. Nick's the godfather to my only child. We decided to paint her room, and it's a new house, so it's also the first room we've painted. So
Oh, Red
pretty
Wing Red.
Red Wing Red. Everything's Red Wings. I told my wife, like, it's Detroit or you're out of here. No. It was kind of a canary yellow, kind of a girl's room, but
Oh, okay. Nice.
just in
Yeah.
case. We probably will have more children, most likely, depending on how life goes. But we figured, okay, if you just go full pink and purple and unicorn and rainbow, and then you have a boy, it's kind of like, well, maybe he wants something more, soccer balls or, whatever,
Yeah.
dinosaurs. And it's like, why don't you just kind of do a neutral color? Yellow's a
Yeah.
little more girl, but it's also like, it's kind of easy. You could do an accent wall red for Red Wings and still have yellow.
Yeah. You can get away with it.
You could get away with it. A little McDonald's there. But how about you? You had a busy weekend, right?
Yeah. So just, in the thick of things with life and the kiddos. My son is in the band, freshman this year in high school, and there was a football game senior night last night. And so I was helping the group, the band, to get their, percussion stuff on the field for their halftime performance and the national anthem and the drum major stands and getting it from the band room over to the football field, halftime, taking it back off, doing all that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot in those bands.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. I think there's like 100 kids in his band that he.
Well, I was gonna say it's a big school, right?
It is a big school,
I
yeah.
grew up there, so I know that. But you got to have 2,000 kids, maybe.
Oh, so I think incoming freshman or the freshman class this year was like 400 or something.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I mean,
Probably
you're talking probably at least 1,500 kids in the school, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So, but it was fun. A little chilly, but that's what fall football is all about. Friday nights,
Right.
and they won, so they have a playoff game next week. But the band is not being required to play. I think just some short notice stuff, and that game's on a Saturday, not a Friday. So it's kind of hard to, you don't have the schedule for that. So to require all your band members to be at it, it's kind of tough.
100 kids, you said. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
So
So I guess I didn't really think about that. I didn't think about this too much either when we decided that we're going to start recording podcasts on Friday Night Lights.
yeah, but it's
And
fine. We record late enough that it wouldn't have been a big deal. I think I was done by like 9 or 9:30 last night. So
okay, not too
yeah.
terrible.
So
10:30 Michigan.
right, yeah.
Florida. I just used did I say that on the podcast? I think I did. My grandpa.
You might have, yeah.
Yeah, was in Michigan. He'd just say Michigan no matter where he was. And he lives in Florida, by the way. He
Oh,
was
really?
for like 30 years. Naples and Grand Rapids, where the Griffins are. Yeah.
Oh, yep.
And he would still say Michigan, doesn't matter. And then I never really think about it because we're always like a Michigan family. Dad's from Michigan. We're a Red Wings family, go Lions,
Yep.
all that. But it's like, go blue, by the way. Saw a car today with a Red Wing sticker and was going to give him the honk. And then the bumper sticker said, "Have you kicked a Wolverine today?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And they got the Michigan State stuff. And I was like, okay.
Oh.
We're only half friends here. I think they say go white at Michigan State. Go blue, go white. I'm like, you say go green? Come on. Lame.
Yeah.
Anyways, now that we've destroyed our fan base again, he would always say Michigan, and he grew up in Kentucky.
Oh, that's weird.
Which I think is still the East time zone, right? They're a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know if there's a little bit that maybe is in central, like very western Kentucky.
What doesn't Indiana do the half the states?
I think maybe they used to. I don't think they
Oh,
used to
yeah,
do the thing at all, if I'm not
that could be because I
mistaken.
know
But
Arizona doesn't do it at all.
yeah, yeah.
Um, See, there was something when I was growing up as a kid, because of course I grew up in Illinois. So I think maybe Indiana used to do half and half, and then they were like, "This is crazy."
Right, yeah. There was something to it, but I think it's kind of close to like the Illinois Indiana border now,
Evansville,
which kind of makes sense. But
is that right? Is Evansville, Indiana, Eastern Indiana?
yes,
I feel like we used to go play a hockey tournament there every year, but I don't think they
okay.
even have a team. I think it's a baseball school. So I'm
Oh, that
just
might
like
be right.
wrong, maybe. We used to go to
I don't
Indianapolis
know.
for sure. Every year we'd go to
Yeah.
Indianapolis and have a
Our
big.
in our Indiana fans, chime in. Let us know what you guys do.
Yeah, let us know. Everyone from Indiana, write in. Let us know. Fill us in. I also majored in geography, so I should know what it really is. We won't get into it, but it's it, it's every. I will get into it a little. It's every 15 degrees of the Earth's
Oh, okay.
longitude. The ones that go up and down. When you
Yeah,
move
yeah.
across laterally, every 15 degrees is a 1 hour of a clock when the sun is overhead at noon. So the time zones become in between those. So if this is the 15 degrees, you're like shifted like that.
Okay.
So that when noon's overhead here on this line, everyone's 7.5 degrees this way and 7.5 degrees this way. It's kind of imperceptible.
Oh,
Noon
gotcha.
would be this hour, then
Yeah.
you shift over noon's this hour. So
Hmm.
really, it's just mathematically moving across. But then the geopolitics of humans get involved when
Yeah.
like China says no, we just do one time zone, and it's like no, that doesn't make any sense. The sun's over there, and they say we don't care.
Yeah.
Wherever the party's at, that's what the time is, and it's like that's not how math works. You can't. Which is just I can't talk too much because I'll get into it, but like Russia's a gigantic country, right? So the United States is 4 time zones. Russia's
Yeah.
11 time zones.
11. Wow. I was just gonna ask how many Russia has.
So then you think like, wow, it's triple the U.S. and it's like it is a lot bigger than the U.S., but it's not triple. It's because it's so far north. The degrees are close
Oh,
together, right? Because the
okay.
curve, so the
Yeah.
degrees are closer at the top.
Yeah.
So it gets a little. They like to kind of Russia
Okay.
bigger than
Okay.
you, and they skew it a bit, but it is really, really big.
So
Obviously,
what I'm hearing you say is you think the Earth is round then, like this? Is that right? Not like this.
it's hey. I haven't gone up yet, but if you ever get on TikTok, we're a little old for it. It scares me. I think maybe 99% of the population might think the world's flat. It feels like everyone.
Definitely feels like a lot of younger people think that.
A lot of younger, or I don't know if it's just clickbait or if it's true, but there's a lot of numerology, there's a lot of astrology, there's a lot of flat Earth, there's a lot of things out there.
Hmm.
Uh,
Interesting.
Anyways, now that I've derailed us with geography, which really I honestly should just have a different podcast where I just talk to myself because I could talk geography all day long. But moving away into hockey with geography, I saw a post today that was something about, off topic, right? The post was a score from today's games. And
Okay.
somebody put on there, give Wisconsin an NHL team. Okay. Random. But I thought, like, Wisconsin doesn't have a lot of pro sports, right? They just have the Packers and the Brewers. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
The Bucks.
Yeah. Oh,
The
okay.
Bucks.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay, so it's just the NHL. My fault. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Eh,
but I was trying to think about it because Madison's the biggest city, right? I think, and it's got no pro sports. Everyone's so crazy about the university, right?
right.
If you go up there, everyone's Wisconsin Badgers, everything because
Yeah.
there's limited pro sports. And the one dude in the comment below at first was a geography thing, and I was kind of like on board because he was like, "There's like a bubble, around the original six teams, kind of like when you taught us the history of the Whalers.
Hmm.
You can't be
Oh,
right
yeah.
Boston. Were you
Right.
any Steel fans from Boston? First of all, you probably won't. Second of all, if you're the NHL trying to market a new team, you're
Mm-hmm.
targeting Phoenix and Houston and Salt Lake City and these large, metro areas that are far enough away from something where it's like not
Yeah.
going to go against it, right? Even if
Right.
it's whatever, you got a few in Los Angeles, Anaheim, San Jose. It's like California's huge. They're really far apart. So fair point. And I was like, oh yeah. And they were like, Wisconsin can never have one because you're too close to Minneapolis or Chicago. Just pick a team. And isn't Detroit right there also? Indiana is way more deserving. We need one in Indianapolis.
That's what this
You know,
person said?
I just kind of paused. I was with them and I was kind of like loving the geography. And then I was like, if you think Milwaukee is closer to Detroit than Indianapolis is, you need to go back to school.
Yeah.
And then if you're Madison, it's the same thing. Madison's further away to Chicago because Chicago to Milwaukee is really close. It's an hour and a half. But I'm
Yeah.
like, Madison to Minnie is probably 2 hours. So you're not helping your case there. And then I'm sitting there going, the Columbus Blue Jackets to Indianapolis has got to be the same distance as Milwaukee to Chicago.
Oh, I don't know if it's that close. But if you're Indianapolis, yeah,
There too.
you got Chicago to the west,
Yeah.
Columbus to the east, Detroit to the north, and
And
Nashville to the south. Like directly south. Like Nashville might be closer than Columbus to Indianapolis.
it might be because it's only probably less than 3 hours. I'd say it's probably closer
Yeah.
to two.
So yeah, Indianapolis, terrible place for an NHL. I mean, if you're trying to, those fans already have a team.
His argument was that you're too close
Yeah,
and you'll pull
yeah, you
fan base.
can't use that argument for
And then
Indianapolis.
it was specifically you're too close to an original six team. Milwaukee's too close to Chicago and Detroit. And I said Indianapolis is closer to Detroit
Yeah,
and almost as close to Chicago.
for sure. Yeah,
I mean, it's gotta be less than 2 hours.
I would
From
think so.
me.
Yeah.
Especially, have you ever done that drive? Now we're way off topic. Instead of doing 55 all the way the length of Illinois, you can go on 57 and you're right on the border.
Yep.
I love that. I mean, you still hit Gary, which is a nightmare, has been for 40 years now.
Yeah.
I was born 34 years ago. It's been under construction since my birth.
Since
I don't
before
know
then,
what's
probably.
happening in Gary,
Yeah.
but they don't finish the construction.
Oh, yeah.
We're coming
It's
over
terrible.
all over Indiana here. Although what's weird is I like Indiana. If I ever
Yeah,
had
it's
to
not
move
bad.
back to Illinois, I would just be in Indiana.
Yeah.
It's like the same state with less taxes.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
not Chicago. No offense. Not a huge fan of Chicago. I know there's a lot to do, but
Yeah, it's
it's
nice to
expensive.
visit, but I don't want to live there or live close to there. I don't like
It's-
any of the sports teams. It's just, I don't know.
It's just
So.
we don't want to destroy our fan base, but anyone who's from near Chicago that's not from Chicago, no.
I'm just not a city person. I
Yes.
like kind of living out more suburban,
And
more
Chicago
rural.
kind of pretends like it's like, whatever. There's
Yeah.
Tokyo and Paris and New York and Chicago. And it's like,
Yeah,
Wow.
right. Yeah.
there's a different, there's a step,
You don't think Chicago's the Paris of the Midwest?
right? Yeah, maybe the Paris of the Midwest. Did you know that term is actually for Jacksonville, Illinois? It was the Paris of the West is what they coined themselves for years and years and years.
Really?
Yeah, there's some interesting history. Chicago used to be the small town because it was out of the way on the water.
Oh, okay.
And then they changed the meat packing industry and the refrigerated train car. Chicago, so they slaughtered the cows in Texas, and then they could ship the meat up because they knew how to refrigerate the train. They used to have to move the cattle and kill it
Right.
in New York or whatever. So they ship it all the way to Chicago, and then it's cheap to use water, so they would move all the meat through the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Feed everybody
Okay.
on the East Coast. And there's a canal system. I don't know if we use it anymore in the U.S., but there's a canal system all the way to the Mississippi to New York.
Yeah.
And so anyways, Chicago went from 50,000 people to 1 million people in 10 years. Well, it might have been 50 years. But it was, anyways.
Mm.
That's when Springfield dropped from the important city, and it never ever rebounded. So moving away from that, I meant to translate all that original 6 and the geography into the Red Wings laying an egg today. We're actually recording Saturday, the 26th of October, which is why I went down to Halloween, because this
I like it.
Monday, the 28th, right? Which will be the last episode we do before Halloween comes.
Before Halloween. Yep. So,
which I use too many of these. I did it because it's October on purpose, but all of my Halloween shirts are Simpsons. I realized.
Oh, so nothing wrong with that.
Rocking the Simpsons every single podcast, but okay, we don't have a ton premeditated or planned. I think for history and stuff this podcast, anyways, right? Or did you have a?
I got a little bit, but it won't take very long when we get to it. So
I just figured I wasted 15 minutes derailing it. So
it's nice.
Did you get a chance to catch any of these games today?
I did not catch any live. No, I've been kind of keeping up with the scores a little bit. But I wasn't able to watch any. A little bit going on today with open house birthday party for my mother-in-law, and then we had my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, and then some of their friends over. We carved some pumpkins tonight, and so just kind of enjoying some family time. So, I have been kind of keeping up on my phone a little bit because I believe I'm playing your wife this week in fantasy hockey. So I'm currently losing, and
you guys are close though, aren't you?
I think the last I looked, we were like 10 points apart or something like that, and I was still projected to win, but like by like 2 points, which is nothing. I mean, that's not. I don't.
What's funny is how the projections, right? Just change. Leah looks at the projections like it's already happened. She's like, he says I'm going to lose to this guy. And it's just the projected score. Like, it's somebody hurt, I think. And I'm like, if you start your lineup after they're hurt, it'll do a calculation again, right? Because you got to reset it. Oh, okay. That's better. And, she gets all upset.
And Yahoo's very weird about the moving. Like, if you pick a guy up or drop someone, like, it's weird about how it like resets your lineup for the rest of the week, but it doesn't really reset your lineup. Like it might take guys out of your lineup if you add a player or something. I don't know. I hate how Yahoo does that. I don't understand their formula. I don't get it. I don't understand.
It's got to be the worst part because, like you said, resets it. Okay, if it reset it to like their default, okay, maybe at least I know. At least I can figure it out.
Right, but it's a random. It's such a random.
And sometimes the lineup's not even full, right?
Yeah.
You've got it set, and then you drop a player, add a player, whatever, and you forget to do start again. It's not like, oh, your settings are gone and it's the default settings. It's like, I'll just have 4 dudes on the bench and just open vacant spots in my winger that I just lose fantasy because Yahoo pulled them out. They pulled a Tortorella. You're done. Sat my guys down. Which, I got to say, for a little bit there, I could have benefited from. Finally, today, I didn't watch it live. I wish I did because I meant to, but like I said, we kind of impromptu decided to paint, so I've been doing that the whole day. I haven't watched any games. Well, Ducks Rangers, I watched a bit of live, and that was a surprisingly good game.
Yeah.
Baco Cruz almost killed somebody. A clean hit, just knocked him into next week. But anyways, Mitch Marner, almost better to just bench him. He had accumulated negative points this week. It hurt me in fantasy game.
Wow.
And then finally today, kind of hilarious because it's the Leafs and Bruins.
Yeah.
3 assists, assisted on every goal, and they lost 4-3. Just cannot get the monkey up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Some good games out there, though. It looks like there were some really close games, all across the league, and there's still some going on right now. Penguins and Canucks affects my fantasy quite a bit because Malkin's.
Yeah.
So I always decide.
What's the score on that game?
4-2, Canucks are winning.
Okay.
right now. There's 5 minutes left in the second right now.
Okay.
Who you got?
I got Lincoln in.
Okay.
I think he's playing. I think I had the Yahoo had the little green check mark on there for him. Well, because I had to make a decision early on. I liked Jonathan Quick's matchup against the Ducks,
Right.
but I didn't really have anybody to. I mean, he was just going to be kind of a plug and play spot start for me, but I didn't really have anybody, to drop just to pick him up. And I think I have like 4 goalies on my team right now, and I knew that who do I have? Um, that's terrible. I can't even remember on my team. I got Aiden Hill, Connor Ingram, Kevin Lankinen. Uh,
I can find it. But no, I know how that is. Sometimes
so
you don't.
I had one. Alex Lyon.
You
I
got
had him going today. He had an early game.
Ingram, Lion, Lankinen.
Lyon. So his game was early today, and I knew he was starting. So I was like, all right, one of my other 3 goalies is probably going to start. So is it worth dropping someone just to pick up? I wasn't gaining a game.
Right. Which
So
is
it was
what
like,
I should have done because
yeah,
I have too many wingers. But here's the problem that happens in fantasy sometimes, right? And I'm going through it right now. I have a couple of our deep picks we've talked about, a couple of guys that are surprising everybody, right? Like a Tom Wilson comes out and scores the first 5 games in a row or something.
yeah.
And so I go out and grab him. That's fine. He's doing good. But he keeps playing on the same night as my whole roster. So I play Mitch Marner, obviously. And I play
Right.
Leon Draisaitl, obviously. And Malkin, sometimes maybe in the past 3-4 years you wouldn't play him, but he's crushing it right now. He's back to his old self. It's like it's 2012. So I've got him
Yeah.
in there. And they're not producing.
Yeah.
So I've got Lundell on the bench. I've got who's the guy that we called out would be a good pickup. You said to pick him up, and you were right. Chinekov, although
yeah.
he kind of went cold, and Tom Wilson. They're all on the bench getting points, and I
Yeah.
got the big dogs in there getting me negatives. And it's like, Zibanejad, Malkin, and I mean, I got a good roster, and they're just crapping the bed. So then
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I got Lundell. He's hot. Guess what I did today? I said I'm going to sit Lundell and put in Evgeny Malkin and Zibanejad. Well, Zibanejad did nothing again. No goals, no assists. And Lundell got 2 assists again. He's dominating. And that's the difficult balance in fantasy, right?
Yeah.
When do I play the guy who's hot versus the big name?
I don't know the answer to that because I would much rather look like an idiot for starting the big name proven contributor
Mm-hmm.
and them going cold. I've played Stamkos every game.
Yep.
My thing. He's been ice cold. I mean, not great, dude. But it's like, all right, well, who are you gonna start over? Am I gonna start? I got Teuvo Teravainen on my team. Okay, top line Chicago. All right, if I don't, he's a great plug and play. If I don't have anybody else, if I got an open slot, but am I gonna play him over Stamkos? I don't know. Me? No, I'm playing Stamkos because eventually he's got to break out of this. He's going to get a hat trick. He's going to have a 5-point game where he just goes off and has 2 goals, 3 assists. I also have Forsberg, so I'm just waiting for that.
Right.
But yeah, I would much rather look like the idiot starting the big name proven player and then them going cold than, oh, let me start Tommy Gunn Wilson because I had this feeling.
Right.
And I leave Draisaitl on the bench because I don't like his matchup, and then he goes off for a hat trick and 2 assists and, whatever. And then it's like, well, yeah, man, why would you have Draisaitl on your bench? That's stupid. Stupid. I don't know. It is a tough call.
Because what I almost did was Zibanejad's been cold, and Jordan Kyrie's been pretty good. So I overthought it and said, maybe I should put in Kyrie. I'll bench Zibanejad. And then, well, what about Malkin? Malkin was killing it, but he's a little cold. I'm overthinking it. Then I'm thinking, okay, but Robert Thomas got hurt, right? Is he still out? Is he playing today? okay, does that mean Kyrou gets more ice time, or does that mean he's going to get less points because he's missing his best player?
Right.
And so I did play Zibanejad and bench Kyrou. Well, hindsight's 2020. What I should have done is when you get those middle guys that are borders and they're
Yeah.
hot, what happened is I overthought it with Marchment. Mason Marchment for Dallas has been hot, but then he was hot at the beginning. He kind of went cold. Well, he's playing Chicago, and Antoine Lundell has been crushing it. They're playing the Islanders. And I said, oh, well, the Islanders, they're that boring. They've locked down. They're slow.
Right.
Oaken's been playing pretty good. Varlamov's been playing pretty good. Like, I think they're going to lock it down. That's going to be a 2-1 game. Dallas is playing Chicago. They're going to blow their doors off.
Yeah.
Well, Marchment does nothing because I should have known better. Marchment is fine. He's good. But Lundell is a better player, getting more ice time. I don't know. Maybe Kachuk and Barkov off. He's been bumped up a line. I guess I haven't followed closely enough. He probably is getting more ice time. But he's in the top 40 now in Yahoo ranking. He gets 2 assists tonight because the Florida Panthers are not whatever, the Flyers, no offense, okay? They poked the Islanders' eyes shut and beat them 6-3, and he got 2 assists because they're the Florida Panthers. I should have known better. Going, I'm down here. It's almost November. It's 89 degrees today. And I should have just got on.
Yeah.
Vamos, gatos, they say down here. Go Cats. Anyways, sometimes you can get my real, true 2020 vision. I should have dropped Tom Wilson and taken Olmark off of IR, and then I should have dropped Igor Chinekov, and I should have picked up Jonathan Quick, like you said, because I have Shesterkin, and I always trust Quick. I don't care how old he is. The guy's amazing. And I said, you know what? Then I get 1 game. That's what you're talking about. You got to get more games, especially for a goalie. I'm going to club this week, and I just peed around with these wingers who I should play, and it's like, just cut the fat. You should have dropped all of them, and you should have plugged in Jonathan Quick.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier to just try and plug in some players that are going to get you that additional game, or if you got an open slot on your roster somewhere. Now Saturdays are hard because usually a lot of the teams are playing. So then you have to try to pick the player that's going to get the most points.
Right.
All right, who do I think is going to do better? But there are some times where it's like, oh, I got 3 goalies and only one of them has a game. If I have someone else, an extra winger to drop, and there's another goalie that's playing a game, I'm going to pick them up, and it just gets me an extra game. Right. But so that's a little easier to figure out who you maybe want to plug and play, because then I do kind of, it's like, oh, do I like this person's matchup, or, they shouldn't get me negative points, or whatever. That's a little easier for me anyway than looking at players and being like, all right, who's going to get, now obviously there's better matchups than others, clearly. But sometimes it's like, man, I don't know who's going to do, a Boston-Toronto game today. It's like, oh boy, I could see Boston winning 6-3. I could see Toronto winning 5-1 or something, so it's like, I don't really want to have to pick one of those players, for someone else on my team that is in another, Avs versus Golden Knights or something, 2 good teams or, but like today, I like Jonathan Quick's matchup against the Ducks, the Rangers against the Ducks, and it ended up being a little closer than what I thought it was going to be, but, that would have been a good pickup for someone. I don't think anybody picked him up at all, so.
I don't think they did, and the fact that we both thought about it means other people probably did too.
Probably did, but I'm willing to bet a lot of the other teams were in the same situation where they already had 2 goalies that were going.
Oh yeah, probably.
So,
you already got the check marks, and see, I should know that that's probably a good situation for me to be in this year. Is when you have Shesterkin, if he's not playing, you got one of the best backups in the league.
For sure. Yeah.
Just go grab him because I have the starter.
Right.
So you're saying sometimes you're carrying 3, 4, 5 goalies on your team short term. That can be okay because a lot of times if you play more games, you're going to win. Not always.
Right.
Don't go crazy. Don't go, oh, we forgot to bring this up. we took away the can't cut list.
Yes.
That right by default, it's the top 20 people you can't drop or something.
It might be more than top 20. So we haven't actually played with the can't cut list for a while. And I want
Yeah.
to say that what sparked it was um, so one of our earlier years, I feel like maybe we only had like 6 teams.
Is this the
And
Stamkos injury that sparked this?
no, well, I don't think that did. I mean, it might have, but it happened to me, and I was commissioner, so I made a change. Um, there was a year that I had Jonathan Quick, speaking of,
Okay.
and he was killing it for the good first 2-3 months of the year. He was on the Kings team. Kings were good, so I mean, you're talking or probably 10 years ago. We've been playing this league 12, so probably
Yeah.
10 years ago, Kings were 2014 or
2014, they won,
yeah.
right?
So he got hurt. And at the time, we also only had, I think, an IR slot.
Mm,
And he was only designated as out. But he was hurt enough that, like, I don't know if he missed the rest of the season or he was like, he's out for months. He's month to month, not day to
yeah.
day or week to
Yeah.
week. He's month to month. And so, because he was only listed as out, I couldn't put him on my IR spot. But he was so good and rated so high that he was on the can't cut list.
Right. Right.
So now I'm stuck with him. I can't put him on. He's just taken up a roster spot. I can't cut him and drop him. And when you only have 6 teams, everybody's team's loaded.
Right. Exactly.
So I needed the games. I needed, it was like, all right, well, if Yahoo's can't cut list is the top 75 players and we have 6 teams and there's 15 players on each team, essentially you can't cut anybody. I mean, so
Yeah.
it was, so I think then we made some changes, added like the IR plus spot so that if they weren't on IR, you could at least put them on something. And then I think we just got rid of the can't cut list because it was like, I mean, I understand it, but also the commissioner has the ability to, if someone dropped McDavid today because they did some backdoor deal or something, I hate this. I'm just going to drop McDavid and whoever can pick him up can pick him up. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well then I am as commissioner. I'm going to go back in, lock your team, put McDavid back on there, and say, all right, I'll find someone else then.
Oh.
So it's the commissioner does have a little bit of power to be able to do that, but and I don't want to ever get to that point, but also I just if there are situations where maybe you are going to cut a guy that if gosh dude, I mean, and
Yeah.
especially with us with keepers, right? So if McDavid got hurt tomorrow and they said he's done the rest of the year, he's not going to play again, he broke both his legs and he was kept. Did he get kept? Yeah, someone kept him this year, right?
Right. Knock on wood.
So someone kept him, and so if that person can't, they can't keep him this year,
Right.
right? He was already kept.
Because yeah. Right. He goes
So
back.
even if he goes back in the pool, so even if you trade him to someone else, that person can't keep him.
Right. The player is done. Right.
So the player is done. He's going back in the pot next year no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And if he gets hurt and he's out for the rest of the year, but he's rated so high, now he's taken up a roster spot for whoever's team he's on.
Yep.
So I do like having the ability to be like, all right, in this situation, let me check these boxes, make sure that it's not going to screw anything up. But yep, no one can keep him. He's hurt and he's in the top, whatever. But who cares? It doesn't matter. We don't have a can't cut list. But if we did, and then a guy's stuck with him, he's essentially eating up a roster spot that for no reason.
Yes, because what did happen to us, and it was, I think, our first year ever, so we didn't even think about that. And I was the commissioner and not reading all the rules. We know the famous story. We don't have to get into right now, but there was some discrepancy of who should have picked, and blah, 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 blah. And so there was a trade that at the time was fair, right? It was okay.
What happened? We went to this is how long ago it was. We went to McDonald's to use their Wi-Fi so that we could all draft at the same time. And
that's 12 years ago, right? That sounds like it's 1993 and we're at a it's like,
I think Miles got on a little late or couldn't get logged in or something.
He couldn't log in his phone maybe, and we were using laptops or whatever it happened was
something. And he had first pick.
Auto drafted the number 1 pick based on Yahoo, which was Steven Stamkos. And number 2 was Alex Ovechkin.
And I drafted number 2.
So then Miles complained a lot, and he was a bit younger 12 years ago. We won't make fun of him here too much, but he was very upset because you both obviously, but Miles was like a Ovechkin idol, right? And he's like, I would never take Stamkos. I would never take Stamkos. I'm taking Ovechkin.
Yeah.
And we were the type of people that, like, back then there was still a good rivalry with the Wings and the Penguins and the Wings and the Blackhawks. I used to take Kane away from my automatic.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Won't allow Yahoo to do it. I'll take the next guy, which back then was maybe Giroux or somebody. I'm like, I don't even care. I'm not
rooting for them.
Having plays for him in real life, but and so just whatever. So Nick is being nice, and he's like, dude, look, the players are pretty even. They're both going to score a lot of goals. We'll just trade. You can have Ovechkin. I'll take Stamkos.
We'll just swap them. They were drafted 1-2. It wasn't like it was
fine.
Huge
and
thing.
In real life, I think maybe the year before, it was like the only people scoring 50 goals in kind of like that era were those two.
Yeah.
Whatever, fine. Let's just trade. Steven Stamkos then decides to Karate Kid chop the goalpost. And it was the year he snapped his leg in half and got the Bionic Man titanium tube put in. Not tube, but you know what I mean.
The
like
rod,
it's fully a titanium rod. I think now it's like gone, and so it's like missed the whole year. And he got 7 goals or something. I don't know how. Before he got hurt early in the year.
Yeah, was that our first year?
I think that was the first year ever when we were trying to figure out how to do it, and you had done football, but no one else had even done fantasy at all.
And Miles won that year.
Miles won.
So if I don't make that trade,
then
wow. Okay, you're welcome, Miles.
Yeah, because it's been 12 seasons. Original member on the podcast, I've never won.
Yeah.
But still, not got that one and then kind of retired. He's like, I'm good. I got a It's very. I've been calling him Mark Stone because he's on the LTIR. Coming in for playoffs, we should call him Cam Ward. Came in rookie year, won the cup.
Never heard from him again.
Just kind of chilled in Myrtle Beach for the next 20 years.
Oh my!
There's our fancy history, but that's going back to ways where it had to have happened to somebody with McDavid when he broke his collarbone.
Yeah, I
don't. Can't Cutlass thing eradicated him.
Yeah, I think so.
Now I get the money, right? If some people play for a lot of money, not like rich people, but like if you say where it's $100 buy-in, there's 12 teams. Okay, well $1,200. If you, me, and Dupree over here go, hey, I'm gonna drop Draisaitl.
Right.
You're gonna drop McDavid. You're gonna drop McKinnon.
You guys pick them up. You win. We split the pot.
That's $400 each. We all got $300. Let's go to the club. And it's like, all right, what are you doing? Why are you cheating? This is like, And people play with strangers too, right? I mean, you play with money with people you don't know.
Sure.
That's got to be so. I'm gonna find where you live, and like. For us, it's weird enough when it's like, I said it before in the pod, but Nick is the connection where it's like, he's got coworkers, he's got his boss, he's got friends from church, he's got friends who are family, And it's like this was just,
So I know everybody in the league. There are people like you that what team my boss is and that sort of thing. But like, I don't know if you've ever met him.
Mhm.
And same with you guys. He jokes around all the time that Hockey Homicide, Leah, your wife, is that's her fantasy team name, is his nemesis because she always like that's the team he struggles against whenever he plays. And so he knows what team hers is and everyone knows names of the other players and stuff in real life, but they haven't like maybe ever met. So it is very weird. I am the one that like knows everybody personally, so it is a little different for me, but
It could probably make it awkward if something weird happened, right? Like
yeah.
if there was some sort of sneaky trade or some sort of
Which
let's
is
trade.
why I don't like which I will always leave it as league votes for trade vetoes
Yeah,
because I don't. First of all, I don't want the responsibility of that because then it's just my opinion of what. And I do have a tendency, I'll admit, to like, oh, let me look at this trade. Is this trade fair? Just the people involved in the trade. And then sometimes it's like, well, this dude's team is so stacked and now he's going to get better. That can't be. But
right.
it's like the trade might be fair, but I'm
Yep.
just mad because the team's going to get better.
In fact,
So I don't want any of that responsibility.
yep.
Now I will alert other people to like, hey, just trade went through. You just look at it, heads up, let me know.
There's
I mean, but it's like,
right.
eh,
Well, to move into trades, because I feel that way about you sometimes, where like you make trades that are good trades that are on paper fair, but I look at them and look at your team and I go, what are you guys doing?
yeah,
Nick's gonna win, and you've won what 5 out of 12 years. Like I'm looking at it
something
sometimes.
like that. Yeah,
I don't vote against. I don't vote against when I'm like mad that it's like, oh, this guy's team's gonna be good. Screw him. Or like if somebody trades and they get McDavid, but you gave them Matthews, you say, well,
yeah,
that's fair. But then you look at it and they go, yeah, but dude, he's got Draisaitl. He can't have McDavid and Draisaitl. He's gonna win fantasy. And so
right,
I still want to vote against it because it's fair. If you
right,
say, "Hey, I'll give you Jonathan Quick for Nathan McKinnon," it's like,
yeah,
whoa, whoa, whoa.
yeah.
So here's one that voted against and should have been voted against. Nick's son has lost his mind with the trade offers. He's
He
sending
has
them
so many
every.
trade offers out there that you can't even offer him a trade because
You
he has
can't.
too many pending transactions.
There's so many. He sent me one that was pretty good, but he gets sneaky with the draft picks, right? Which is how
Yep,
you got to get.
yep,
He said, I don't remember the players now, but he was giving me a good player
hmm
and his round 13 pick.
yeah.
There's 18 rounds. 18's a keeper, so there's 17 rounds, and he's giving me number 13. The player he wants back from me, I felt the players were pretty even. The guy he was giving me was not very much better, but he wanted my like 5 round pick. So I'm like, okay, no, that's too high. I'll do it, but I'll take your 13 and I'll give you my 10. Let's get this a little
Oh,
closer.
yeah.
And it comes up with the error: too many trades pending. Cannot. I'm like, so
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
that trade was, I forgot because I didn't even try again later. I said, okay, well, you lost it. Because
Yeah.
what happened is he got so trigger happy. He sent me 3 trades or 4. Nathan McKinnon, and he has Nathan McKinnon. He's given me McKinnon. And he wants from me anyone. I don't care. Pick anyone. They weren't very good. But he wanted my number 1 pick for next year.
Yeah.
So he did like 3 in a row. But he was picking good players. He wasn't picking trash.
Yeah.
He said, I'll give you McKinnon and a 5th round pick. And you give me Mitch Marner and your 1st round pick. And I'm like, whoa. I'm not giving you Mitch Marner and a 1st. But then one time he slipped up. And I knew it was a mistake. I probably shouldn't have hit it, but he's getting older now. He
Hey,
sends me, I'll give you McKinnon and his 1st round pick. And he was going to take Malkin in like my 15th. I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll do that one.
yeah.
League veto. League voted. League veto. was trying to take advantage of his kid.
That's funny. Yeah.
But he did. We should discuss it because we're on trades. I did want to call it out because I can't remember who he made the deal with. Okay, because I feel like my trades always get voted down, and I don't know why. I was going to get Barkov in round 13, and Eli was going to get Natchez in my round 3. So I was going to give up a round 3 to get Barkov. So there's a little imbalance there, but Barkov's not a number 1 overall pick. He's a top 20, so maybe round 2, not round 3. But I said, okay, I'm giving up. Martin Natchez is a pretty good player. He's a center winger. I'm taking Barkov. I've got Zibanejad center only. Barkov would be center only. Malkin's center only. And so I was like, I'm heavy on centers, but I'll take Barkov. He's out. He's hurt. League vetoes it. No. But then this trade goes through. Eli gives Bender City Pigeons. Who's Bender City Pigeons?
Guy from work, Eric.
Okay, Eric.
He's new this year.
Eli says, I'll give you Nathan McKinnon and my 3rd round pick, and you give me Braden Point in a round 1. So Eli's going to get Braden Point and a 1st round draft pick, and granted McKinnon is better and he's going to get more points. But he's giving up McKinnon a 3rd. Is Braden Point a 3rd round pick? Because Barkov as a 3rd got vetoed.
I did vote against that McKinnon and Point trade. And I don't know if Eric realized because he's new to it this year, necessarily the trade thing in there. I think he was just more focused on the players. Maybe he knew the trade or the draft picks. I don't know. I don't know that he's ever played with draft picks before, though, so that might.
But has he played with keepers? Because you can't keep McKinnon.
Right.
And you can't keep Point.
They were both keepers, so that was the other thing. I was like, these dudes are both keepers, and you're trading the 1st and the 3rd. Come on! So I had voted against it. Apparently, no one else really had a problem with it because it went through.
I think I voted against it because part of me goes like, if you hit yes to that, it's on you.
Yeah. But I mean, we're also week 2 that happened, and I'm just like, so week 2, Eli, you're already kind of throwing in, you're clearly building for the future.
He has gone a little crazy with he wants a couple number 1s and a couple number 2s, and it's like we just started.
Yeah.
So it's because it almost worked for him. He's still mad. I'm telling you, he's mad because 2 years ago, right, he should have won. He went all in. He gave away all of his draft picks, and his team was amazing. And he tripped on the last hurdle in the semifinals and lost to you, right? Was that last year or 2 years ago?
That was just last year.
So now this year's over. I'm building for next year.
He was pretty upset because I do think I traded him my 1st round pick last year.
Yeah.
And I think I got Ovechkin off of him, who I probably gave. If it wasn't Eli, I don't know that I give anyone else my 1st round pick. But he's my son. I was willing to overpay for Ovechkin.
But Ovechkin scored all of his goals in the second half of the season. So
right, and it worked out for me. I was going all in as well. And so, we actually watched
1st or 2nd. You gave me your 2nd.
I might have, yeah. We actually watched the when we were at your house over spring break, the last game, it was Ducks and Canucks. That was the only game that Sunday. It might have been Easter Sunday. That was the only game. Or maybe it was the following Sunday.
But we watched it live, and it was tension in the house, right? Because you and Eli.
That was the only game, and we both had players going in that game, and it was so close that we were so into the Ducks-Canucks game. It was crazy.
And whoever won went to the final against. Oh no, she lost. So then whoever lost had to play the 3rd place game against my wife.
Yes.
So we're all on the couch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoever goes to the final, and then whoever loses has to play Rhea.
Yeah. That was a fun time to be watching hockey. It was a
Right.
good
Which
day.
what was the game like? Anaheim versus Vancouver, which I
Yeah.
mean we don't care about.
I don't care.
We're
I
not
think I
fighting.
had Connor Garland and Silvos
Yep.
for Vancouver. And the other thing is when there's only that one
Goalie?
game
Yeah.
going, I had the goalie, yeah.
Yeah.
When
She
there's
lost.
only that game going, you're dropping player, so it's playoffs. So you're dropping guys that you normally wouldn't because it's like, well, I have to win or it
Right.
doesn't
If I
matter.
win today, I'm
It
out.
doesn't matter. But it's not like there's four games going where you're like, all right, who do I want? Who's available? It's like, okay, which third line winger do I want? The one for the Ducks or the one from Vancouver?
Mhm.
You're playing that game. And then
And
you do have to
I
kind of
feel
do
like,
a little, yeah, exactly. So then you're doing a little bit of a deep dive, at least I do, because I'm like, all right. And I legit think it was both top six guys were taking, it was like, all right, I got to pick a
yeah,
third
but
line guy.
who did you pick
Who's
up?
on the, I think I picked up, who's that?
Didn't you pick up the guy who scored though?
He did, I don't know if he had a goal, but I think he had an assist on the power play. So
Oh,
I was also looking at, okay, there's a couple of third line guys, but this one plays on the power play. Oh, perfect. Give me him.
and that's
So
probably the difference. You won by like
I
three
think it was the difference. Yeah.
or
And
less.
then what happened in the finals, Eli scored more points in his third place game than I think I did and like the second place team did. So like if Eli would have made it to the finals, he would have beat
He
me
would have beat,
and he
but
would have won. So yeah, it was definitely a tense day, a tense game to be
that,
watching for sure.
I love that. I love that. We should probably
So
shift gears because I talked so long about geography. We've pushed us into 50 minutes, and we should be around 35. But
that's all right. Yeah, let's do it. What do you want? Studs and scrubs or a little history?
I was thinking maybe even jump straight to history, unless you got some good studs and scrubs. I could.
Ooh, let me see.
I had a couple studs, I guess, that are obvious. With the goalies,
Okay.
I had how do you pronounce his name? Bloomquist, who kind of has taken over in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
for Pittsburgh.
Just
Hmm.
time for me to drop him. Perfect. He had a 50 save win the second I dropped him. And when I had him, he was good. It's
Yeah.
just Olmark was hurt.
Right.
So I had him just as a plug, and it was great. But then it was like, well, okay, it's Olmark, though. Drop him. He
Yeah.
gets 50 save win, and then Olmark goes back to day to day. I'm like, great. And then who was the other goalie that seems to be the answer because the horrible last place bottom feeders Colorado Avalanche have ripped off 4 wins in a row and are doing fine because of a Noonan.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
really not even playing amazing. It's just like, just stop the dang puck. He goes out there, he gets a 90 save percentage, and they win 4 in a row. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, Gorgiev's out, they're in, they're fine. And then I had Moser and Mercer. I didn't realize how close to Dawson Mercer and
Mm.
Giannis Moser. One's a defenseman for Tampa, and
Okay.
and Mercer's a center winger for New Jersey.
Yeah.
They got picked up. They got picked up by Irish Canadian Pirates, or Bud
Okay.
Nally, and don't Taves me, bro. So
Yes. My buddy
there's
Jarrett.
okay. So there's been some good moves in our league. Those were going to be the 2/4 kind of the goalies that I was going to suggest, and it looks like Nedeljkovic is going to be a step below Bloomquist right now. If you need
Yeah.
goalies, with Pittsburgh, they're
Yeah.
kind of going back and forth, but I think that Ned is a little shaky, and they sent down Jari,
Yes. Yeah.
so like he's not playing. So
I did take note of that today. He's struggling. Pittsburgh seems to be struggling, but he has allowed 12 goals on 73 shots. Your Bloomquist guy, I kind of have him here. Um, He's allowed 16 goals on 180 shots.
Wow. So that's a
So
92-ish.
his save percentage is a .908.
No.
Jari's is 83. Terrible.
Terrible.
Terrible. Yeah. So I have Tristan as being a scrub. There have been the last 3 or 4 seasons. I feel like he's been pretty solid and reliable. I don't know what's going on with him now, but the goalie situation in Pittsburgh just seems so fluid right now that I don't trust any of them.
Yeah, I agree.
They're just kind of plug and play guys. You know, like you said, Bloomquist with his 50 save performance the other night. You know, you're probably going to get some points from a Pittsburgh goalie just because they're going to allow so many shots, but they're
True.
not. I don't know how many, how much they're going to be winning, and what's actually happened to me the last couple of days is I get a guy that allows 3 goals on 5 shots and gets pulled, and then I'm stuck with those negative
Nick,
points. And
I didn't want to be too hard on you, but that is what has happened with Lankinen.
Oh gosh.
2 goals on 12 shots, and he's on the bench. Which still gets you fantasy points. You got 1 fantasy point, which is where we want to circle back next year. I think this season has shown you, Gorgiev, even Saros, the Jari situation, Samsonov, whatever you want to pick. The goalie position is a bit of a crapshoot. Yeah. And in this modern world where there is no such thing as Brodeur playing 75 games anymore,
right?
Hellebuck, the Jets went 8-0. They won again today. Yes, you've got a few. You've got 5 people that are going to play 60 games. But when they go 1 for 1, they can have a 40 save shutout, and then they can let in 4 goals on 8 shots and be done for the night. And it's like, I kind of like the idea of Lankinen. They're winning 4-2. He let in 2 goals on 10 shots. They should be winning 4-0. I'm not watching the game live, but I'm watching the score. The Canucks are kicking the crap out of the Penguins. So my guess is that Lankinen gets yanked. Whoever's in net is saving the day, right? Now they're winning. Okay, the Penguins should have already had their boots loosened up and been heading to the locker room. We're done. We lost. Get off the ice. Your goalie is so bad that you're giving them hope. Okay? You can't give Crosby hope. The point of the story is that if you let in 2 goals on 10 shots in the NHL, Tristan Jarry, that's an 80 save percentage. You're in the AHL. 90 is the minimum. 92 is like Vezina. It's a razor thin. If you're at 93 or 94 for the whole year, you're going to win the Vezina Trophy. If you're at 92 your whole career, you're going to the Hall of Fame. If you're at 89, you're out of the league. Like that, it's that thin. Yeah. So look at somebody who's an 83 save percentage and they get you 1.5 fantasy points. No, you get -5. You're horrible. You don't even belong in our league. And
I was thinking, it won't ever work for Yahoo, but like, if you almost got like bonus negative points for getting pulled.
Bonus negative points.
Explain. So you already the situation would it would have to be a situation. It couldn't just be like, oh, I got hurt, so I got pulled. Okay, whatever. But if you're the goalie, Lankinen, whatever, whoever, you start and you let in 3 goals on 5 shots. What is a goal in our league? -1?
Probably, yep.
So if you're a -3, but then you get 2 saves, what's a save?
1/3.
1/3. So now you're at
6-7 -3, so you're at -2-3.
Okay. Ish. But you get pulled. So throw another -3 on your
plate. Right. It's like pitcher being taken out of the game. You get an
Now you just went. Now you're just -5 because you got an extra few negative points because you got pulled.
See, now that would be a cool category because it's kind of like a shutout, right?
Yeah.
If you have 1 goal against on 40 shots, you're gonna get probably more points. But if you get a shutout on 15 shots, it's gonna get closer.
Yeah.
Because you get that extra category. Well, if you're playing categories, it really is a huge thing.
Right.
And it's like, okay, what if there was a "you got pulled" button? That card came up.
Yeah. Now, like I said, it would have to be you get pulled because of your performance, not like, oh, hey, he got hurt, we got to pull him, kind of a thing.
It's like the penalty minutes hurt you unless it's a fight or a.
Right. And I don't know how you would ever differentiate that. It would almost have to be like a manual scoring system because if if you're watching the fights and you see, someone got into it and then immediately after, close game, tie game, fight happens, the dude that wins the fight, his team scores.
Yeah.
Now his team won. So the fight benefited his team.
Oh,
let me give you bonus point, like plus positive points for that.
You'd almost have to have an override that wasn't quite so detailed, like a minor or a misconduct hurt your team, but a 5-minute major gave you a plus one or something. It'd be smaller where it's like, okay, tripping is a -1, right? Is I think how we have it, but it's like if you get a roughing and a fighting and a game misconduct, we just have 2 minutes equals -1. So now you're 17 penalty minutes, right? Is like, whoa. Did I just get -6 points or something?
Yeah. I think we do a 2-minute minor penalty is -0.5 a point.
-0.5. Okay, so that's better. So because I know there has been a couple situations where there was some specific game.
There was a few years ago, I think you had Jonathan Taze. And what happened was he got a game misconduct or a 10-minute misconduct because his stick broke. And when he just threw it to get rid of it, 1/2 went out of play.
And it's an automatic 10.
And it wasn't intentional, but he was close enough to the glass when he let go of it. One went over, and then they called it on him.
I remember watching the replay because he didn't throw it very hard. He kind of went like this, and it fluttered over. But it's an automatic game misconduct, right? Your equipment can't leave into the crowd.
Yeah.
Under any circumstance.
So that was a weird scenario where, yeah. Yeah. And maybe the scoring was different when we did it that year because it was noticeable on his, he went negative points that game or something, I think, because it was like.
I was feeling like there was a game that it wasn't the weird one. It was, I don't know if I had him, but I thought somebody had Evander Kane, who had not in a row, but he had a hooking, a roughing, a tripping. He had multiple penalties that game. And then he got a boarding, fighting, game misconduct. So he had 25 penalty minutes. And it was he just -10. And it was whoa. Which I derailed the conversation, but that was sort of one of my ideas for the goalies. Instead of the magical pull button, which would be sweet, you just start making, a goal's -1. You make a goal -3. So then it's if you can get a 40 save shutout and you get 18 fantasy points. And you go, if you score 4 goals and get 2 assists, you're going to get 20 points. It's pretty rare. But it's not as rare as getting 4 or 5 goals. So it's a little skewed. But then you can go out there and let in 2 on 10 shots and still get me fantasy points? No. 2 on 10 shots, you're hitting the showers. And once in a while, we saw it with the Sharks. They had back-to-back games where they let in 10 goals. You imagine throwing in the goalie and getting -30?
Man.
But then it would introduce the risk of where we just talked about it. It's a good podcast for it. I'm going to go drop whoever. I don't care who it is. Not my top guy. But Wilson, Marchment, it doesn't matter. drop him and pick up Jonathan Quick because Jonathan Quick's definitely going to get you points.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Not if the goals are -3. I'm not going to risk a goalie because just like real life, they're a bit of a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Just an idea to go to. Jonathan Quick did, by the way, let in 1 goal on 33 shots. And it's not telling me his fantasy points. That's weird. But he got a lot if he let in 1 goal on 33 and a W.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Like 13 points.
13, right? And then the win, is that?
I think win is 2.
Right, so we'd have 30 at a third, so we'd be at 10.
12.
13, yeah. Probably 13.
1 goal. Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood. So,
yeah, which it is skewed a little high. That probably should be closer to 9-ish. I mean, 1 goal and 33 shots is amazing, and your team won 2-1, so you won the game for your team. You're probably the first star of the game.
Yeah.
But, like, you got to get a hat trick to get 13 points. Maybe not. Someone had a hat trick the other day. They got 18. You know, it happens, but whatever.
Yeah, it's always going to be hard to try to make the scoring for goalies and, forwards and defensemen. We try to make it even, but I do feel like it's always going to be kind of a...
Yeah, it's hard because when it's categories, I hate it, but it's like they're so specific, separate, that then when you try to just use total points and make it fair, that it's kind of like, okay, how if let's say Shesterkin's the best goalie in the league and he plays for one of the best teams, then he should be equal to McDavid, McKinnon, Matthews, Kucherov, and he's not. So how can we? Then the problem becomes, okay, now every mediocre goalie is real close. Now they're not Makar, but they're all Fox. They're all Rannon. They're all Sam Reinhart. And you're like, okay, hold on. What's going on? So anyways, I always turn it to goalies. I shouldn't, but did we want to do your quick history? Because now I've derailed us twice, and we're past an hour.
Yeah, let me. I'll throw in a few stud scrubs here real quick. So one scrub that I have, he's available in our league still. Jordan Eberle. He's ranked 27th in our league, so right now he's playing like a stud. But I'm gonna say, if you have him on your team, sell, sell, sell. See if you can bait someone into seeing his ranked 27th overall and get something for him. I do think he plays maybe top line for Seattle there. He's only rostered in 16% of the leagues. But what I looked at and saw today was he has 6 goals on 15 shots.
Oh, wow.
That is not sustainable.
No way.
And so...
That's some good research. That's some good research, Nate.
While I could see him scoring... Jordan Eberle, could he score 30, 35 goals this year? Well, it's possible, sure.
Maybe.
But right now he's just hot.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he's not even picked up in our league. He's available.
Pick him up and trade him.
But I could see someone trying to pick him up, someone, trying to trade him. I just think that's too high for, obviously he's got the points to put him at that number, but this early in the season, he's not the 27th overall player in the league right now. It's not sustainable. Get rid of him. If you can sell him, if you can bait someone and sell him for something, do it, because he's going to go downhill. That's not going to last. I just don't see it. I'll give you a stud. One guy I picked up the other week that actually helped me win my week was Alex Laferriere for the Kings. And he has...
yeah. I'm only laughing because I saw you drop him, and it's Alex Laferriere. I thought it was Alexis Lafreniere.
Yeah. Well, I was getting a little confused with him.
Nick dropped Lafreniere. Who signed a great contract in real life, by the way. $7.5 million. I think it's a great deal.
Oh, nice.
The
Okay.
cap's going to go up 8-10 million. That's going to be a steal. That guy's a stud. Anyways,
Okay. Yeah. So he's only rostered in 19% of Yahoo leagues. Through 9 games, he's got 7 points. He was a +7. So he's a solid guy. I think he was kind of up and down, second, third line, but also on the power play. Um, he'd be a good plug and play guy. That's what it was for me. That I dropped him. I don't think anybody's picked him up yet. But if the Kings have a game and you're needing someone, you have a empty slot as far as like, oh, I don't have anybody playing a game, I can use him. He's someone that you might look at and consider. And then one other person that I'm putting in a sleeper category.
okay.
I don't think he's a stud. I don't think he's a scrub, but I'll call him a sleeper. And that is Mason Lohrei for the Boston Bruins.
Low rye.
He is 6 games, got 4 points. He was playing on the top pair, getting a little bit of power play time as well. He's averaging about 2 shots a game. He plays defense, so getting 2 shots a game. He's rostered in only 2% of Yahoo leagues right now. He's not on anybody's team in our league, but he's someone that has potential. My buddy from the rink, my buddy Pat, what's up, Pat? Actually, was telling me about him, and so that he kind of put him on my radar. And then I was kind of just looking him up a little bit more. And he was like, "Yeah, here's someone to keep your eye on, this year." So I was like,
in real life, stud through the roof. By the way, he is an absolute monster too. Like person, he's young, he's good. He's 6'5", 211. I just looked him up.
Yeah,
and he's 23 years old.
And he's the first NHL player from the state of Louisiana.
Now that's interesting. I didn't realize that. From Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Baton Rouge.
So that brings me to our NHL minute, Nick's history lesson. So I'm going to go defense tonight. The James Norris Memorial Trophy. Norris Memorial Trophy. Just a little bit about it. There's not much to it, really. So it's presented each year to the defenseman who demonstrates the greatest all-around ability in his position. The winner is picked by the Hockey Writers Association, and the award is named after, surprise, surprise, James Norris, who was apparently a grain millionaire. So made his money in the grain world.
Okay.
But he bought the Red Wings in 1932. He renamed them the Detroit Red Wings. I think before that they were the Cougars or the Maroons. Detroit? No, that was Montreal Maroons.
Maroons was Montreal. They were the. I just read this.
And as a Wings fan, I'm kind of embarrassed that I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, Wings Nation out here.
Yeah. But he's the one that we have to thank for them being called the Detroit Red Wings now.
Well, thank you, Norris.
Yeah. He owned the team for 50 years. He sold it in 1982. And under the Norris ownership, they won 7 Stanley Cups.
So he would have owned them all through the 50s wins with the Howe, Sid Abel, Sawchuk.
Yep.
Nice.
So the Norris Trophy's been around for 48 years.
The Detroit Cougars. We should have known that.
Yeah, I think I said that, but I also said Maroons. But then I realized.
Oh, you know what? It was a double whammy. Cougars in 26. Where am I? I'm backwards. And then the Falcons.
Okay.
You might have told us that in the history of the octopus story.
Maybe.
Okay.
So
Cougars, Falcons, Red Wings. Thank you, Mr. Norris.
Yeah, there we go. So 48-year history of the trophy. The player with the most Norris trophies. Who you got? Who do you think?
The most Norris trophies. Oh, boy. I think that it's Lindstrom, but it might be Orr.
It's Bobby Orr.
He has 8.
8.
Lindstrom 7.
Lindstrom 7. Doug Harvey 7. A little before my time. Ray
Ooh,
Bork.
Ray Bork 5.
Yeah. So Bobby Orr
Even.
8. Doug Harvey. Lindstrom tied for second with 7. Ray Bork third place 5. Interesting to note, though, Bobby Orr won his 8 consecutively.
This is the only reason, to be honest, I couldn't remember if it was Lindstrom or Orr, because Lindstrom played a lot more seasons, right?
Yes. Bobby
Orr only
Orr
played
had
12 seasons.
something like that. Yes, 12 or
8
13.
in a row.
So I hate playing this game, but if Bobby Orr's knees don't give out on him, he could easily have more than 8.
He might be in the top 10, top 20 points of all time. Not just a defenseman. If he didn't have injury, could you imagine?
Yeah, I'm planning on doing a whole NHL section on Bobby Orr just because it is crazy, some of his stats. And everybody knows, you start talking about greatest defenseman of all time, Bobby Orr's name does get mentioned, but I don't think people realize how great he actually was.
I agree.
And so I don't want to spoil anything because I do want to do his own, NHL segment because I think it's deserving of that.
Yeah, some of them are so dominant.
How old are you, Stu? How old are you?
34.
34. At age 34, Bobby Orr was already in the Hall of Fame.
That's crazy.
So I don't know what you've done with your life.
My application's pending.
So he definitely, is an all-time great. And I do want to do a little diving into his career a little bit and just throwing out some numbers to just kind of show how good he actually was.
Yeah, because everyone knows he was good, but sometimes when you separate time, right, it starts to get like, you don't want to knock somebody like a Jacques Plante, right, or the Rocket Richard, and these people that were incredible for their time. It's easy to kind of people go, well, yeah, I mean, so and so was fine, they were okay, Lindros was okay, but he's no McDavid, and like you can just dismiss the older generations. But some of Orr's numbers are like literally like Gretzky level of like so much better than anyone else. It's like not even remotely close until really basically Lindstrom, I think, is the only person you could even have a straight face to try to argue.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's some good people. Ray Bork probably comes to mind, but Orr is an absolute legend. I can't wait. I know you already know a lot of history on him, and when you get the homework going and really give us a deep dive,
it's crazy, some of his stuff.
Yeah.
So I have just a little quick game that I want to play with you.
Okay.
I saw this on, my boss tagged me on this little video on Facebook, and so I'm going to do kind of our version with you here on the best defenseman in our lifetime that we would have seen play.
Okay.
So not all time. We didn't see Bobby Orr play. We didn't see, Red Kelly play or some of those guys. But just, current players from the 90s. I'm gonna give you 2 names, and you tell me which one's better.
Oh, I saw this that they did with Patrick Elliott,
yeah.
And there were so many Monday morning quarterbacks like you and me going, "This guy doesn't know puck." I'm like,
right. I liked his answers. Stevie Y, I'm not sure what was wrong with that pick.
I don't know what's wrong with that. Although I will say, before we play the game, as a Red Wings fan, I'm biased. But when he said no to Jaromir Jagr and he said no to Sidney Crosby, I said, okay. I love Datsyuk, but Sidney Crosby. I mean,
Yeah.
we've lost it a little bit. Anyways, okay.
All right. So I'm gonna just go randomly here. So I'm gonna try to keep it moving though, because I don't want to give you a lot of time to think. I just want to
Okay.
hit you.
If there's any delay, it's the audio got a little bit glitchy. I think in our recording it's good. It's just our internet right now.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. So let's start with Chris Chelios and Chris Pronger.
Pronger. I know.
Okay, Chris Pronger, Paul Coffey.
Ooh. This is a coffee.
All right, Paul Coffey, Scott Stevens.
Coffee.
Paul Coffey, Scott Niedermeyer.
Ooh. Coffee.
Paul Coffey, Zdeno Chara.
Oh man, very different players. Coffee.
Paul Coffey, Erik Karlsson.
Coffee. No offense.
Paul Coffey, Konstantinov.
Oh, you gotta do that to me. It's hey, Coffee played for the Wings too, though, right?
He did, yeah.
Coffee. This is getting a little boring. Sorry, but I think Coffee's up there, probably top 5 for me. So Coffee.
Wow. Okay. So Paul Coffey, Al McGinnis.
Well, your tone really made me. I kind of hate Al McGinnis because of his Blues years. I'm gonna stick with Coffee.
Okay. Wow. All right. This is good. Fine. Paul Coffey, Ray Borick.
Ray Bork.
Okay. Boy, I haven't even really hit a lot of current players. So Ray Borick or Victor Hedman.
Ray Bork.
Ray Borick, Cale Makar.
I was gonna say there's only one name. Should I do it just because it's fun? Ugh. I'll do. What?
Who's better?
I gotta go with Borg. Okay. I think at the end of Makar's career, though, maybe.
Ray Bork, Nick Lidstrom.
Lindstrom.
All right. I don't think anybody's going to beat Lidstrom from here on out, but Nick Lidstrom, Rob Blake.
Lindstrom.
Lidstrom, Brian Leach.
Lindstrom.
Yeah. I probably should have tried to figure out a better order to go in there because I'm left with a lot of current players, but I think Lidstrom's going to be the winner.
Yeah.
Of who I have left, honestly. I mean, guys today, we're talking Roman Josi, Adam Fox. Larry Murphy's kind of a sneaky guy.
Sneaky.
I mean, guy won 4 cups. He never won a Norris Trophy. Played a long time, played a lot of games, a lot of playoff games. Did score a lot of points, but was never thought. I mean, kind of under the radar, but not as dominant as. I mean,
not as dominant. He's more in the category of like maybe like a Hatcher, maybe like
Ooh, Darian Hatcher was a good
Adam
one.
Foote. Maybe he's kind of one step under McGinnis and Pronger, and
below, yeah,
but still really good.
Went a lot farther than I thought he was going to, and Chris Chelios Pronger, that was a good.
That was a tough one right off the gate because I'll tell you what right now, Chelios I think would top half of those guys, but I would take Cale Makar over Chelios.
Yeah.
I would take Quinn Hughes over Rob Blake.
Okay.
But I would take Al McGinnis over Adam Fox. Maybe. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, for me, Pronger, it's like I hated him because of the Wings-Blues rivalry.
Sure.
But he is so good defensively. He's so mean, cheap shot. He'll cave your head in. But then, he'll go out on the power play and, he'll put up 20 goals. And it's like, to me, Pronger was just like a mean, slightly worse version of Lindstrom. Like, Lindstrom was more almost Lady Being, basically perfect. and just better. But Pronger was like, okay, I'm not quite as good as Lindstrom, but also I'll spear you in the throat if you get too close.
Yeah.
So it was like, to me, he's kind of perfect for like, if you're a goalie and you got that guy on your team, you're like,
Yeah. I think maybe next time if I play that game, I won't go. It would have been Chelios Pronger. Okay, Pronger wins, and then Boric Lidstrom. Okay, Lidstrom. Now Lidstrom Pronger. I would have gone maybe
yeah, you
that
can do a little
direction.
jump around. Because you keep the person, it's fine. That happened in the Elias thing too. A lot of people were
It
complaining
was,
again,
yeah, again.
but I was like, because somebody was like,
But I kind of like it because then you're trying to name a player to beat again.
right, which when you think about it, it's hard. I still think he's underrated. Like somebody was freaking out in the comments. They're like, St. Louis, are you kidding me? St. Louis, Aginla's better than St. Louis. Like St. Louis won a cup or whatever. And I'm like, okay, St. Louis is an amazing hockey player, but doesn't Aginla have 600 goals?
Yeah.
Like, come on, you got to maybe Luke. You got to get somebody who's Brett Hall. Like,
Yeah.
there are not very many people who have more goals than Iginla.
No.
So, anyways, that's fun though. I like that game.
Chris Pronger is a good kind of a full circle thing because I do think, and I'm pretty sure on this stat without backing it up, double checking here. So Chris Pronger won the Hart Trophy as league MVP in, I'll say around the year 2000.
Okay.
And that was the first time a defenseman had won the Hart Trophy since Bobby Orr.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
But like you said, he was, way more physical than Lindstrom. Just more of a presence out there. Lidstrom, not that he went unnoticed, but he just was always in the right spot. Perfect humans, what they call it, a nickname.
Yeah.
I mean,
doesn't make just. You could probably watch him for 3 seasons and he doesn't have a turnover.
Yeah.
Where I saw an interview with Pronger and he said that in juniors, because I don't think he was always such a big guy, right? But then he got big, and his dad would teach him. He said, just try to be unpredictable on the ice, because the better you get, the faster everyone gets, and you just lose time on the ice, right? And even in today's league where it's not so violent, it's like they dominate at the NCAA and go through everyone. Well, if you have 3 seconds to decide if you're going to shoot or pass, in the NHL it is a half of a second. Right. You can't, you got to be, Bedard and Crosby and, McDavid, they're special. There's other people who are the best hockey player you've ever seen in your whole life, and they go to the NHL and they can't hack it because they lose that space and that time. And so Pronger was saying that he would go into the corner to get the puck, and one day he might go in, make a little spin move, make a little short pass, a little saucer backhand, and the next time you come in the corner, he might elbow you right in the head. And I'll just turn around and cross check you right in the teeth. Yeah. And it's like, pretty soon you're like, I'm not getting near that dude. He's crazy. Yeah. And it just makes people slow down a little bit when you're forechecking. You go, you know what?
Oh, right. It gives you just that other.
I might get butt ended. Yeah. I'm gonna just this guy's kind of a lunatic. And then you just kind of make that short, easy pass over to McGinnis, and it's like, boom, 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 you're out of the play. And Niedermeyer, I mean, he played on some dang good teams.
Oh, yeah.
And you think about that, dude. The Hart Trophy, first time since Bobby Orr. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I assume Pronger won at least one Norris, but he probably only won 1 or 2. Because Stevens, I want to say Scott Stevens won 4.
I would have to look it up. I know that I saw the list today, but I mean, in the 90s there, you're talking, this list of guys, 90s through today, really, Chelios has 3, Pronger's probably got a couple, Al McGinnis, I think, had won 1, Rob Blake, Brian Leach, Scott Niedermeyer.
Yeah, because I'm thinking if
Lindstrom's got 7.
Lindstrom's got 7. I'm thinking that Bork is a little older, but if he's got 5, Lindstrom's got 7. If Stevens has, I thought he had 4, but maybe he has 2. Niedermeyer, I think, has 2.
But even Ray Bork with 5, I mean, he was all through the 90s. I don't know exactly what his.
Yeah, so there's a little overlap where he's a little bit older, right? The end of his career is kind of the start
So
of,
80s and 90s would be Boric.
which I think McGinnis too. He probably won back with
Yeah.
Calgary, I'm guessing, not with the Blues.
So, I mean,
Anyways, but yeah, it's amazing how good some people were. Zubov was another one I was thinking of, who's kind of like Murphy. He was so good and so underrated, but he's not Niedermayer. Niedermayer was a whole step above Zubov, right? In fact, Niedermayer to me is I would take Niedermayer over Scott Stevens, left, right, center, twice on Sundays. I think he's a way better player. It's just Scott Stevens. You're going to wake up next week if you come across center with your head down.
And I mean, think of that, dude. That's why the Devils were so dominant. I mean, they were just that team. You got Brodeur in goal, Scott Stevens, Scott Niedermayer.
Right.
You're not scoring on them.
Right. I don't really care who you got. And then what Brodeur's so good at, like people say he's the best ever. I disagree. I would put him more like in the third or fourth best situation personally, maybe even fifth. I think Waugh's better. I think Hasek's better, whatever. But Brodeur, what he's good at was consistency, right? He plays 70 games. He played for 20 years. And what's hard to do is, I think, like when I played youth hockey, our teams were in the wrong league, basically, right? We would play up a league and we'd get peppered and we'd get near the bottom. If we played down one league, we probably would be good, right? So as a goalie, that sucks, but like sometimes you like it. You're getting 40 shots every single game, and okay, I let in 6 instead of 4. Okay, well, I'm not in the pros. It is what it is. But when you're on a good team and you stand there for 7 minutes and then you got to face a shot, that's hard. And what Brodeur was so good at is if you keep the puck to the outside and they're shooting wrist shots from the blue line, it will never, ever go in. And the Devils were one of the best teams in the league for 15 years because it just said Niedermayer and Stevens, keep people away from me, keep the puck on the perimeter. They cannot score on me from the boards. Okay, game over. There's only 3 teams in the league that can beat us. Right? I mean, basically, they lost to the Rangers a couple times, but it's like it's just the Red Wings and the Avalanche. Nobody else can beat us.
Yeah, and I mean, so mid '90s they won the cup in '95, beat the Red Wings that year,
and did they win in
2000? They were there in '99. Lost to the Stars.
No, that was
the Sabres in '99. 2000, Devils beat the Stars. 2001, Avs beat the Devils.
Right.
2002, Wings. But then 2003, the Devils are right back in there against the Ducks. And then
and that's the Ducks. Was their only win, right?
No, the Devils beat the Ducks that year. That's when.
Oh, when did the Ducks win? Solani
played out of his mind. Ducks
won the cup in 07. Right. That was yeah.
So Ducks won in 07.
Which had Pronger and Niedermayer.
Yeah.
Pronger, Niedermayer, and Solani. We won. Who you got?
Yeah. So.
Dude, that's good though. That's some nice history and a fun game to play too. I like that.
Yeah. So, but that's all I had. So.
Okay, no, that's good. I like that. You did a lot of research today. You had the shooting percentages of Eberle. You had some good pickups. You had some good history, and the defenseman head-to-head game. I like that.
I like doing that stuff.
I'll try to put one together for you. We'll do the same game with actives. Maybe we should do only active next time. I'll throw you some centers.
I like that. Yeah. Okay.
We'll, leave it to the end to, you start off with, I don't know, Deneau or Robert Thomas, right? Do you want defenseman or a point scorer, right?
Right.
And then at the end, it's like, that's when you bring in McKinnon and McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah.
Otherwise, McDavid. I'm just going to, okay, well, I'm keeping McDavid
Right.
in.
Yeah.
What? You say Crosby? Even not now, he's 40. Okay. Fun stuff. Okay. I don't have anything else. Let's check the live scores. All the games are over. The Knights annihilated the Sharks. I don't think anyone's surprised about, but I believe that means today the Jets, go, remain undefeated 8-0,
Wow.
which might be a franchise record. I wonder what the NHL record is. And the Sharks remain winless through 9, 0, 7, and 2.
What's that? What did the Canucks Penguins game end up being?
Yeah, sorry, I knew that was the one you were looking at. Canucks did end up winning, but Penguins tried to claw back. It was 4-3. And Hurricanes appear to have dominated the Kraken 4-1.
Okay.
I don't know. They could be closer. I didn't watch it live. That those three finished while we were recording. We're at the 90-minute mark now. But Flyers Wild is the game that if I had a time machine, I would have gone back and checked because it was 5-5 in the second period.
7-5 or something.
7-5. I assume an empty netter because it was 6-5 with a few minutes left.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, good games all across the NHL. I don't know about you, but I'd like to use our platform to grievance the how do you view games, because this NHL, ESPN Plus, Hulu thing worked fine last year. Now I don't even get games, and I pay for the thing, and then the ESPN is so much worse than the TNT. I can't stand it.
So
I just hate it.
What are you watching them on? Anything?
If I get them on real, actual TV, it's easier to watch them. But I only have a cable because it came with the house. We live in one of these golf cart community things in Florida, right? Where you get, and when you buy it, it's like an incentive with your internet. You get free TV, but it's only for 1 year. So come the playoffs, it's like,
yeah,
I'm going to have to figure out how to stream them or how to, pay for the package or something. Because how do you watch them? ESPN Plus, probably.
Well, I used to have that package deal with like Disney, Hulu, and ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. But then we were trying to cut back on stuff just because we're so busy that we're hardly ever home to watch anything anyway. So it was like I'm paying for all these, streaming services that I don't ever have time to watch. And we actually get Hulu through our cell phone provider, but it's just the basic, with ads, whatever. So there's no bundle. So I don't get ESPN Plus anymore.
Yeah.
But something popped up on my news feed today about ESPN Plus, but just ESPN Plus was like going to be $12 a month or something. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to pay $12 a month just for these games. So then I thought about getting Max to be able to watch some of the games on, there that are on TNT. But
see, this is my problem. It's similar. I was trying to cut back, and there was a good deal. So I had the bundle, Disney, Hulu, ESPN Plus. Since they first made Disney Plus. That's when I signed up. And I've had the same one ever since. So what happened is they kept raising the prices. It wasn't too crazy, but it was, they're going up. Yeah. Then HBO Max, I paid for separately. And it's not that cheap, right? So they had a deal. I think it's still going on. It was, you get Hulu and Disney Plus and Max for less money than I was paying for just Max by itself.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa. So I canceled my Hulu, Disney, ESPN Plus and canceled my Max or upgraded or whatever and had that bundle. So I was saving like $40 a month to get all the same stuff I already had. So I was over the moon. Then we're doing the podcast and the NHL starts and I can watch them on TNT. They're only giving them like 3 games a week or something. And I I forgot. I go to Hulu to watch my hockey. I don't have ESPN Plus anymore. Yeah. So it's not really Hulu, right? It was ESPN Plus. So I'm sitting there going, oh no. So now if I add it, just like you said, now I'm just paying for it individually. And I'm not even saving money after all that. Changing my passwords, and I've got like 8 family members that use my stuff. Can't swear on the podcast. So they text me. Somebody who's on this podcast, who's a co-host who hasn't been on yet, and my other sister, and all of them, hey, so-and-so's got to do homework. There's this documentary they're supposed to watch for history. What's your password? How you been? Hi.
Right, yeah.
The other one, hey, did you still have, I thought you got rid of this. I can't watch ever since you guys deleted that. Do you still have the... Are you going to get on the podcast tonight? For me to give you the passwords for your Disney Plus? Okay. So whatever. NHL's got to fix it, though, because it's terrible. Because how do you still get blackouts, too, if I'm streaming on the internet? It's just, you know what? It just encourages people to go figure out how to watch them, right, a different way. And it's like, I don't want to be honest. I want to just turn on the remote on Max and just watch TNT with Lundqvist and Gretzky. That's what I want to do. And you won't let me. And I hate it. So whatever. Anyways, we've run long, but I thought we did a pretty good job. Especially you had a lot of good homework this
podcast. I think we're kind of getting the feel for this a little bit. So thanks you everybody that's kind of been watching and bearing with us and keeping along on this journey with us. We're still brand new to it, but I do feel like we've made some progress. I know I'm feeling a little more comfortable doing these things, maybe kind of found a little rhythm of what we're doing and what we kind of are going for on here as far as different segments and, just right off the bat kind of catching up a little bit and then doing our little studs and scrubs and the history stuff and the live things.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're making progress. I feel like we're maybe finding a groove a little bit. Just hang tight, stick with us. We'll continue to do this and continue to get better. And
I think we're getting better at it. And really, the 1 hour to 90 minute is really a little more realistic when we do one a week. Because, there's another podcast that we both like that cuts them nice and short. They're 30 minutes. They're great. But I think they do 3 a week.
Say 3, yeah.
And that's like, okay, well, you're at 90 minutes. And then, of course, there's the big dogs in the hockey podcast have the really, really long ones. Well, they got interviews with famous people. So they're once a week plus interviews. They're long. So I think the 90 minutes, the 60 minutes when we do are welcome. Stu gets us sidetracked. We do studs and scrubs. We do history. We're kind of in 4, 20 minute, 20 minute, 20 minute, 20 minute. It's, we're getting it. And it's been fun learning. So we'll try to tighten it up and then eventually we'll add the Miles. So they'll probably get longer, but tighter. I'm not going to blow up his spot too much, but Miles knows how to professionally do podcasts. So we need his guidance maybe, or a muzzle for me.
Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. All right, dude. Great catching up. I don't really have anything else to add. Everyone, please give us a shot. Keep watching. Keep downloading, sharing, subscribing.
Like. Yep, all the things.
All that. Studs and Scrubs on most platforms. Studs and Scrubs podcast is our Instagram. It has the link tree in there. YouTube, Spotify, and I believe Apple Music. If not, it's coming soon. There's just a different... You have to export it from the app a different way. We're getting it set up.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool.
Okay, that is all I've got, bud. Great catching up. Keep your stick on the ice.
Take the first move, Conway.